Something is weighing on my soul that I've wanted to talk about for several weeks, necessitated by this polarizing presidential campaign season. What it means to be a real man. This morning I watched a video by the YouTube creator Dana Inspired, who I highly recommend everyone watch, which is what kind of inspired me in the direction that I wanted to go. There's this movement on the far right, and only on the far right, that seems to target teenage boys and younger men in their early 20s, where some guys, bros, and self-described alpha males put on this facade of toughness. They pretend to be all macho and cocky and are outrageously bombastic. They pretend to know everything and have all the answers. They claim to have what essentially amounts to a harem of beautiful women who live to serve them hand and foot. But look, I'm here to tell you, these guys are decidedly not real men. They're freaking clowns. They're imbeciles. And if they actually do live and act towards people the way that they pretend to, and especially towards women, as they portray in their videos, then they are the most abusive, despicable, unfulfilled, and lonely guys on this planet. This must be made abundantly clear. There is no one right way to be a real man. There are plenty of wrong ways to be a man, though see these alpha males just described. Men are not and are not meant to be a monolith. Men have different interests, talents, skills, and hobbies. Some men enjoy hunting and fishing. I don't. Does that make me less of a man? I don't know. Some enjoy playing an instrument. Some practice singing. Some men are athletes. Some are lawyers. Some are doctors. Some are businessmen. Some are computer savvy and technical. Others are educators. Some are factory workers. Some are builders, carpenters, or construction workers. Many are musicians, artists, or actors. Others are civil servants, engineers, government workers, scientists, or farmers. I know it sounds like I'm just naming career options, but there are so many ways a man can make a life for himself in this world, and none of them have to do with being a pompous, know-it-all, chauvinistic pig. And that's demeaning to pigs. I just wanted to mention a few of the men who have been significant influences and role models in my life. Of course, unless you personally know me, you probably won't know any of these men, but maybe you've had other similar men in your lives who exemplify these characteristics. Ronald Chambliss was my high school principal. He consistently taught us students the importance of accountability, taking responsibility for your actions, and living by higher ideals and standards. One time, he assembled my entire senior class in the gym. I don't recall the exact shenanigans for which he was calling us out, but he made it perfectly clear that while we had a lot of talent and potential to do great things and to be a great senior class, if we didn't straighten up, we would not be heroes, we would be zeros. His actual words and hand gestures. Larry Ginn was our varsity football and basketball coach. Coach Ginn was a very successful coach and won several state championships in both sports. When I was on his football team, I remember him teaching us the importance of giving our all on every play, every time. He stressed doing things the right way at the right time to be successful. He emphasized not just being good athletes, but also building moral character and teamwork, and being good citizens and neighbors who lead and help during times of adversity. Veldon Bennett was my bishop and a youth leader at church. He was also a German professor at Jacksonville State University. I really looked up to him, and I learned so much from that man that I can't even begin to list it all. Bishop Bennett was a beacon of goodness. He taught me so much about service, charity, leadership, kindness, and generosity. He would drop everything to go and assist, counsel, or comfort a member of his congregation. I remember other men who were members and leaders at church, like Luke Whittle, who was a business owner, Larry Dixon, who had a cattle farm, and Dwayne Tippett, who is an orthopedic surgeon. These were all men who exemplified and taught me humility, kindness, service, persistence and dedication and integrity. And there was my father. My dad was one of the quietest, humblest people you could ever meet. But no one in my life taught me more through his quiet example about service, loyalty, family, love, gentle kindness, and gratitude. My dad was a career Army veteran and then a postman. He could fix a small engine or a car engine, install plumbing or entire bathrooms, repair floors and install flooring. He could damn near fix anything. In almost 42 years of marriage, my dad was completely faithful to my mom, never raised his voice or yelled at her, and never raised his hand to her. My dad was in every sense a real man. Were any of these men perfect? Of course not. They all have their flaws, they all make their mistakes. But what made these men worthy of admiration is that they took responsibility and accountability for their actions. They led by example through service and kindness. They were not vain. They did not seek glory or reward. They did not boast and were not self-aggrandizing. They were not hateful, spiteful, or abusive. They did not pretend to be something or someone that they were not. They were men one could look up to, worthy of emulation, examples of Christ-like love and service. Apart from my dad, I don't know what the politics of these men were. I don't know how they voted or what their party affiliations were. Most of them are gone now. But I believe I can say with complete confidence that each of these men would be revolted and disgusted by a man such as Donald Trump, who is the type of man each of my mentors train their students, athletes, and youth not to be. I wish all boys and young men had such examples of men as role models in their lives. Maybe then they would not be enamored by frauds and con men and fake manly men like Donald Trump. A weak man's version of a strong man, someone who takes no responsibility for his words or actions, who refuses to pay his bills, a coward, a chronic liar, a chauvinistic, misogynistic, serial, sexual predator, and verbal and emotional abuser of women. He's not a real man. He's pathetic, a chronic whiner. He's a loser. I call on all men everywhere to step up and be a real man and shun Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, and their ilk. Spurn his hateful and divisive rhetoric. Swear off his disdain for and abuse of women. Despise his unfaithfulness to his 3 wives. Renounce his disloyalty to our American Constitution and to our allies. Scorn him for his affinity for tyrants, autocrats, and dictators. Loathe him for his quest for power at all costs. Repudiate him for constantly denigrating and disparaging our great nation, calling America a garbage can, and for threatening violence against American citizens who would just disagree with him or that would hold him accountable for his actions. Abjure his calls to use the United States National Guard and military, who swore to uphold the Constitution and to protect American citizens, to violate that oath by declaring their loyalty to him and to turn their guns on American citizens. Banish forever Donald Trump for not keeping his oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States, declaring that he would suspend the Constitution. Finally, be a real man and vote for the woman, Kamala Harris, who is uniquely qualified, prepared, and ready to be our next President of the United States. A real man is not so weak and insecure that a woman cannot lead him. A real man values her education, skills, experience, and leadership. A real man trusts women. A real man votes for Kamala Harris to be our next Commander-in-Chief.